Good morning, everyone from Bangalore. This is Erik here, and thank you to everyone that submitted questions. Today I'm going to answer a bunch of them. Going to try to grab Jaya to have her answer any of those, or Sneha, or Satish, or just the family here, and give you guys an update on life here in India, what's going on, lockdown, filmmaking, diabetes, a little bit of everything. So let's start the day.
I'm a ghost, I'm a fading light, I'm the bold and the underlined, I've been told.
Mr. Satish. Good morning, good morning. They're wondering what Indian habits I've picked up.
Who? You? You're wearing a daily banyan. You're eating by hand. You're liking masala food. So many things you have picked up. Now you're more Indian. You won't like to go back to America and eat your boiled without any masala, ready to eat food.
Right?
Now you will be cooking in your country.
There's hope in the dead of night. I'm a ghost, I'm a fading light, I'm the bold and the
Alrighty, so every morning I go on a short walk after breakfast. That's to manage my blood sugar, so 30 minutes after walking can really smooth out everything, and maybe I'll use this as a time to chat about type 1 diabetes. So someone asked me, what is it like to deal with a lifelong diagnosis? So I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 16 years old. And I specifically remember lying in the hospital bed and making this decision whether to be like positive or really negative about this disease that I will have for the rest of my life. And something that allowed me to be really positive is that my grandfather was diagnosed with the exact same disease. He was diagnosed in 1940 and lived to be 83 and didn't have any of the technology that we have today. But I think what the main takeaway I want to share with all of you is that because I'm diagnosed with something for life and there currently is no cure, I felt like I only had the option to be positive, because if I chose to think about this negatively, it would just slowly break me down over the years, where if you try to find the silver lining, you try to find all that good that comes with it, then you can slowly build yourself up. And that is not to discredit how difficult and hard this disease is, but that's why I decided to take a positive stance on it and become an advocate. And how I'm actually managing my blood sugar, well, I'll talk about that later.
Why is it with anything meaning the most to us? We never treasure what we have till it's been turned to dust. If you never reappear, I'll only know.
Alright, the passport update. So, if you're not aware, I lost my passport all the way down in Munnar about 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, and then someone found it and shipped it up to New Delhi. So, I'm currently here in Bangalore, and there's no American embassy here, and so what I'm trying to do is get the American Chamber to contact the embassy in New Delhi to parcel it down here. One of the main obstacles is that the embassy in New Delhi is currently not open. Good morning. People are so friendly here, like always. So I'm still waiting on that. In terms of my visa, which plays into this, I have a year-long visa, but after 180 days you have to leave the country. And so right now that is for the end of June. And so if I can't get my passport down here to Bangalore, I'll probably have to take a domestic flight up to New Delhi to then catch an international flight somewhere.
There's a rose where I apologized. Look upon the vine. Look upon the vine.
Alright, so some people ask why I'm here in India, and these bike shop guys were super nice and just were chatting with me, but the reason I'm here was for a bike trip that started in Kerala. The actual prompt behind it, which I've made a few videos about, was for a wedding, which was Annalisa's friend from college. So that's what sparked it. But I'd say the true reason I wanted to come to India is because I've always been interested in what the global world is like. You might not know this, but my background's actually environmental policy. So before getting into film and YouTube and creating these movies, what I did was sustainable management, but specifically, first thing I did out of college was I was on the border of South Sudan and Ethiopia helping design and implement a national park. So I kind of have that mapping background, but I've always just been curious with how the world operates and how to help protect the resources. And it's really through the bicycle that a lot of my assumptions about people were really put to test.
I'm not here, that's just bones for a frame. I'm not here, we're just dancing.
The bicycle moves at this perfect pace where you move fast enough to actually explore a place, but you go slow enough to have authentic experiences and meet people, and also not choose who you meet, because pretty much anyone can choose to come up to you and ask you questions, invite you in, and that's what's really sucked me into just figuring out how to continue biking all around the world, because that's what's really given me a much more authentic feel on being here in India.
He just left me this way. I'm not here.
Alright, someone asked me about my filmmaking, and my biggest takeaway, just before I get into it, is just start doing it. Just start publishing, editing, and filming. So every morning I go on this walk and I've been taking photographs. This is one of my favorite places to stop and capture some images. But I am self-taught in everything that you see put out, and that is mainly through YouTube and following it, and then really just video after video after video getting better and better and better. And something I end up encouraging a lot of people to get into is using Kickstarter. So Kickstarter is a crowdfunding platform, and if you find yourself on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and you're on Facebook, you already have this network put together. And I've had huge Kickstarters, so $10,000 or close to that, $8,000 I think is what the Trans Am was, but I've also encouraged my friends to put on smaller Kickstarters for $1,000, and obviously it's all relative for the American audience, but just having these smaller opportunities that gets you out there so you can create films and then go on talks and slowly build up that resume. Morning. So then one day you can transition from whatever you're doing, but I transitioned from being a sustainability manager to now an adventure filmmaker, and that was just through a lot of hard work. But the main thing was to get out the door. That's how I started to become a filmmaker. Alright, then there was a few questions on how the lockdown has been emotionally, physically, maybe logistically. So it's now been maybe 60 days that India has been in lockdown, and what that has looked like is initially no flights, no buses, state borders closed down, and basically for 2 months I did not go outside. I've been lucky enough to be with an incredible family, so we're fortunate that Bangalore isn't hard hit, so we've been able to get all the vegetables, produce, lentils, rice. So the diet itself hasn't changed that much, and Jaya's been cooking. But why I filmed on this street, and I'm passing one of the temples here, is that yesterday this entire street was lined with rickshaw drivers. So the government just had a stipend where all the drivers were getting food rations. They might have been getting cash, I'm not quite sure, but people here in India have been really hard hit. If you're a driver and everyone is in lockdown, overnight you lost your job, and that's what's been happening all around the world. And so as a filmmaker, I've been trying to capture some of those emotions in the diabetes community. So I'll have a film going out in early June, and just hearing people's stories has caused me to have a lot of those emotions as well. But I'm very fortunate that my family who's in New Jersey, they're doing all right. My sister's all right. I'm doing all right. So I feel blessed. But the day-to-day here in Bangalore is now slowly reopening, and that's why you see people, and that's why I'm walking while making this Q&A. What's your name?
My name is Krishna, and yours?
Erik. What do you like about Bangalore?
It's very green, the temples, the architectures, and the rituals are very different from the other countries, and that's all.
The weather and the food are so good as well, and the people. Can you tell me the different types of mangoes?
There are several types of mangoes. Some of the mangoes are like raspberry and badami and begunpulli and malgova, and there are some 7 to 8 mangoes in India, present in India. That's it. This is the 8 kinds of mangoes I said you.
Awesome, I appreciate it. Take care, Krishna.
Okay, bye-bye.
What Krishna represents is that commonality you find around the world. If you open up and let it come in, you will find that people are kind, that people want the same thing all around the world. Overall, this means feeling like you belong, like you have family, that you have food on your table and a place over your head. That is what the world needs. And why I got into film and miles of portraits is to help show that to people. Help show that if you go out and just ride your bike, I only intended on going out for 3 months, and here I am 2 years later, halfway around the world, mainly because of the kindness of people who have hosted me, given me shelter, welcomed me in, and just helped this journey. And that is what I want to try to communicate with my films, because before coming to India, I had so many misconceptions about what it's like to be here in India and what the Indian people are like, and that's why I wanted to come here and to see it for myself and witness it, and I love it.
Why is it with anything meaning the most to us? We never treasure what we have till it's been turned to dust. If you never reappear, I'll only know chasing the Holy Ghost.